कन्दर्प अगणित अमृत छवि नवनील नीरद सुन्दरं पटपीत मानहो ताडित रुचि शुचि नौमि जनक सुतावरं भज दीन बन्धु दिनेश दानव दैत्यवंश निकन्दनं रघुनन्द आनन्द कन्द कौशल चन्द दशरथनन्दनं श्रीराम श्रीराम। सिर मुकुट कुण्डल तिलक चारु उदार अंग विभूषणम् आजान भुज शरचाप धर संग्राम जित खरदूषणम् इति वदति तुलसीदास शङ्कर शेषमुनि मनरञ्जनम् मम हृदय कञ्ज निवास कामादि खलदरुगञ्जनम् श्रीरामचन्द्र कृपाल भजमन हरण भव भयदारुणम् नवकञ्जलोचन कञ्जमुदकर कञ्जभर कञ्जारुणम् श्रीराम 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 श्रीराम।
Hari Om, Om Namah Shivaya. So today I am going to be talking about yoga. So I would like to welcome all of you for this Navratri series which is planned by Mavelikara Kottaram. In the pere Kavyana, I am Kavya Verma. So yoga, what is yoga? So yoga comes from the term yuj, which means to unite. So what are we uniting here? We are uniting the individual self, the limited being, to the absolute self, the supreme being actually. And any practice of yoga, any practice which allows this union to take place for us to be in harmony with everybody, everything around us becomes yoga. So contrary to the popular belief that yoga is asanas, it is not actually asanas, it is everything, compiles of everything that can help one person evolve to a higher stage of living, higher stage of being actually. So yoga actually has different definitions. If you see the Bhagavad Gita itself has a couple of definitions. Sri Krishna says that evenness of mind, samatvam yoga uchyate, that is evenness of mind. When the mind is equanimous in any situation, that is yoga. So if there is a good situation, you are happy, but you are not overexcited and getting attached to it. And when there is a difficult situation, there is suffering, but you are not attached to the suffering also. Your mind is even throughout it. That is yoga. That's what Lord Krishna says. He also says that skill in action is yoga. So if you are able to focus on one thing completely without any distraction, and there is full surrender and commitment to the thing, that is also yoga. There's another definition of yoga which says that separation from the attachment to sorrow is yoga. So we get attached to everything around us. Sorrow and joy are two sides of the same coin. Where there is joy, sorrow follows. And when there is suffering, sorrow is there, joy also comes eventually. Anything that gives us joy, it's not absolute joy, especially in the material world. You experience joy, but it's not absolute. This limited joy, there is limitation to it. Because we are scared that we lose that joy, we get attached to the joy, we want to keep it with us. And that in itself causes suffering. So separation from this attachment to suffering is also yoga. And then there is a definition given in the Yoga Sutras. So one of the main texts of yoga philosophy is given by Patanjali Maharishi. which is a yoga philosophy. So in the Yoga Sutras of Maharishi Patanjali, he says that Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Okay, so that is yoga is the stilling of the fluctuations of the mind. Okay, so the mind has a lot of thoughts. Mind is essentially just a bundle of thoughts. So there is a lot of fluctuation in the mind because of these thoughts. When you can still these fluctuations, when you are able to focus on only one thought and you become one with that thought, that itself is yoga. And there are different ways, like the main purpose of yoga is actually self-realization, to know the highest self, to become one with the truth, our real nature. But everybody may not be seeking that. Everybody may not be seeking enlightenment. But yoga practices does give joy and happiness to people because the mind tends to calm down, our body becomes healthier. So there are different steps which Swami Vishnu Devananda has given, saying there are 5 points of yoga. He's compiled the scriptures and given us 5 points of yoga to make it easy for us to practice. So the first point is yoga is proper exercise, that is asanas, where we do asanas for the body and the mind, that is yoga. So proper exercise. The second one is proper breathing, that is pranayama. So control of breath, mastery over the breath, because the breath is the connection to the mind. So there is prana, which is the vital life force which gives life to us, and everything is functioning with the prana. This prana connects the breath and the mind. So if you can control the breath, you can control the mind, and vice versa. If you are able to master the mind, you can master the breath, you can master the body as well. So that is proper breathing, pranayama. And the third one is proper relaxation. That is how we do shavasana. So relaxation is not just resting on your bed or going to sleep. Relaxation has to be all 3 levels of relaxation. That is physical relaxation, mental relaxation, and spiritual relaxation. It takes you to a meditative state. Okay, so relaxation is also very important. And then the fourth one is proper diet. So it's like a fuel to the body, right? It gives us nourishment. So the kind of food that we eat directly affects the way we think, the way we act in the world. So if we eat like unhealthy food, our body becomes unhealthy, we think negatively. If we eat healthy food, our body becomes nourished and we are able to think positively. So whenever you're facing any difficulties, your mind is agitated, the best thing is to change the food. Observe what you're eating and change the food, you will see the difference itself. And fasting is also one of the technique to change the diet suddenly. So during like Ekadashis or Pradosham, or when the seasons are changing during festivals, it is good, it is advised actually to fast. Swami Shivananda says one person can fast up to 3 days with water or with fruits, or even without water also you can fast up to 3 days, and beyond that you need supervision basically. So fasting or any sort of proper realigning your diet will help you think clearly. So that is proper diet. That is essentially a sattvic vegetarian diet. And the 5th point is the positive thinking and meditation. So regularly putting in effort to think positive and spending time to meditate. That is more synced with Vedanta. Vedanta is the philosophy of understanding the oneness with everything. So there is Vedanta, and then there is Dhyana. So that is meditation, practicing meditation regularly. And how does these 5 points or yoga basically affect us? So basically we have 3 bodies, we don't have one body. In medical science, in anatomy, we say, okay, we have one body. But actually we have 3 bodies. There is a physical body that you can see and you can touch, you can see the functions of the organs, that is all physical body. Then we have the mental body, which consists of the sense organs, senses. Then there is the karmendriya, the organs of action. Then there is the mind, intellect, there is ego and subconscious, and the 5 pranas as well. So there are 19 elements in the mental body or the subtle body. And then we have the causal body, which stores all the karma and the samskaras of us, because of which the other 2 bodies are created. So through yogic practices, all the 3 bodies are taken care of. The physical body gets nourishment, gets rest, gets exercise. The mental body learns to calm down. We learn a mastery over the mind and the intellect. Okay, and slowly the ego stops to get attached to this physical and mental body, and then starts to settle in the causal body. And when knowledge takes place, when you understand that there is nothing but the truth itself, all that we see is Ishvara, all that we see is the pure consciousness which is enlivening everything around us, we become with that one with that pure consciousness. So basically yoga is all about becoming one with that consciousness. So in every action that you do, the intention matters. So there are different paths in yoga also. Swami Shivananda talks about synthesis of yoga, but the 4 paths are Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga and Jnana Yoga. So if you are inclined towards action, you want to go out and work, just change your attitude towards the work, make it Karma Yoga, make the work selfless, do it for others. Then there is Bhakti Yoga. If you are more emotional or devotional inclined, then you do more of chanting, prayers, archanam, surrendering to a higher power above you so that you can relieve that attachment to the physical being, the body and the mind. And then the Raja Yoga path is about mastery over the mind. That's where we meditate, we do yoga asanas, we do dhyana, we do pranayama, all of that comes in the Raja Yoga. The technique and practices to gain mastery over the mind. And the 4th path is Jnana Yoga, that is the path of knowledge, that is studying of the scriptures, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, spending time with, people, beings who are like sages, who are already evolved. So spending time with them, doing satsanga is also a part of Jnana Yoga. So getting knowledge. So here knowledge you don't get, knowledge is always there, you have to remove the ignorance. So these 4 paths when practiced together, you might be having a temperament for one of them, you choose that. But don't neglect the others, practice all of them together, and then you will notice that every day, every month, every year, you're evolving as a person and you're able to be aware of the experiences of the world. Rather than getting toppled and carried away with the problems and the enjoyments of the world, you'll be aware and watching yourself how you act in the world. And that's how you kind of evolve. So yogic practice is all about spiritual evolution, to evolve one person from what they are now to a higher being and becoming one with the Supreme Self. So this is just an introduction. Yoga is a vast philosophy and there are a lot of different aspects. It's just an introduction. I hope this creates some sort of curiosity in people and they can go out and seek out to learn and understand themselves better and grow as human beings. Thank you so much. Have a lovely Navratri, everyone. I'll hope to see you sometime soon. Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya.
നടാലിയ ടൊളോഡോയുടെ രണ്ടാമത്തെ ചെറുകവിതയുടെ പേര് കല്ലുമഴ എന്നാണ്. കല്ലുമഴ. നോക്കു നീയൻ മേലുടുപ്പിൽ തെളിയുമാകാശം, മെക്സിക്കൻ ജമന്തിപ്പൂക്കൾ വിടരുമാകാശം. നോക്കു നീയൻ മേലുടുപ്പിൽ തെളിയുമാകാശം, മെക്സിക്കൻ ജമന്തിപ്പൂക്കൾ വിടരുമാകാശം. എൻ്റെ പാദത്തിനു താഴെ ജലതരംഗങ്ങൾ, എൻ്റെ പാദത്തിനു താഴെ ജലതരംഗങ്ങൾ, വാരിയെല്ലിനിടയിൽ മിന്നാമിന്നിതൻ രൂപം, വാരിയെല്ലിനിടയിൽ മിന്നാമിന്നിതൻ ദീപം. കയ്യുകളിൽ പച്ച കുത്തിയ എൻ്റെ ജന്മദിനം, കയ്യുകളിൽ പച്ച കുത്തിയ എൻ്റെ ജന്മദിനം, പിന്നൊരു വിഷജീവിതൻ്റെ ഭീകരം രൂപം, പിന്നൊരു വിഷജീവിതൻ്റെ ഭീകരം രൂപം. എൻ്റെ രണ്ടു കണ്ണുകളിൽ തുഴയെറിഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടല്ല നീങ്ങി മിഴിനീരിൽ പുഴയിൽ ചങ്ങാടം. സ്വർണബദാം ഒന്നു ദൂരെ കായ്ച്ചു നിൽക്കുന്നു, സ്വർണബദാം ഒന്നു ദൂരെ കായ്ച്ചു നിൽക്കുന്നു, ചത്തുപോയൊരു മാനതിൻ്റെ ചോട്ടിൽ നിൽക്കുന്നു, ചത്തുപോയൊരു മാനതിൻ്റെ ചോട്ടിൽ കാണുന്നു. എന്നതീനെ പുണരുവാൻ എൻ്റെ നിയോഗം, ചെന്നതീനെ പുണരുവാൻ ജന്മനിയോഗം. ഇന്നതീനെ പുണരുവാൻ എൻ്റെ നിയോഗം, ചെന്നതീനെ പുണരുവാൻ ജന്മനിയോഗം. നോക്കു നീയൻ മേലുടുപ്പിൽ തെളിയുമാകാശം, മെക്സിക്കൻ ജമന്തിപ്പൂക്കൾ വിടരുമാകാശം. നോക്കു നീയൻ മേലുടുപ്പിൽ തെളിയുമാകാശം, മെക്സിക്കൻ ജമന്തിപ്പൂക്കൾ വിടരുമാകാശം. ഈ രണ്ട് കവിതയിൽ ആദ്യത്തെ കവിതയിൽ നടാലിയ ടൊളോഡോ ഒരു ഗ്രാമീണ വനിതയുടെ കാര്യങ്ങളാണ് വിവരിക്കുന്നത്. അതായത് ഭർത്താവ് ഓടിപ്പോയി, അവരൊറ്റയ്ക്ക് കഴിയുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ അവരുടെ മനസ്സിനകത്തെ ദുഃഖങ്ങളെല്ലാം ഈ ചെറുകവിതയിൽ ഗ്രാമീണ ഈണങ്ങളിൽ ഗ്രാമീണ പദങ്ങൾ ഉപയോഗിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് അവർ വിവരിക്കുകയാണ്. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ കല്ലുമഴ എന്ന ഈ രണ്ടാമത്തെ കവിതയും അവരുടെ സംഘർഷങ്ങൾ, മനസ്സിലെ സംഘർഷങ്ങളൊക്കെ ലളിതമായ വാക്കുകളിൽ, മെക്സിക്കൻ പ്രകൃതിയുമായി യോജിക്കുന്ന വാക്കുകളിൽ വിവരിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.
जय जय देवी दयालहरी जननी सरस्वती पालय मां। जय जय देवी दयालहरी जननी सरस्वती पालय मां। अमले कमला सन सहिते अमले कमला सन सहिते अद्भुत चरिते पालय मां। अद्भुत चरिते पालय मां। मादर मंगल गुणशाले मादर मंगल गुणशाले मनोज्ञशीले पालय मां। मनोज्ञशीले पालय मां। किरीट कुण्डल सुशोभिते किरीट कुण्डल सुशोभिते किन्नर गीते पालय मां। किन्नर गीते पालय मां। जय जय देवी दयाल जननी सरस्वती पालय माम् जय जय देवी दयालहरी जननी सरस्वती पालय माम्